Welcome back to episode 141 of the Hockey Cards Gongshow podcast. My name is Josh. I'm here with Troy. Wednesday night, another busy day in lives of dads, work, hockey, podcasting. What's going on, Troy?
Not a whole lot. Could record and then off to a 9:30 p.m. hockey practice for a bunch of 11, 12, and 13-year-olds. So that's fantastic. Can't wait.
Hockey don't sleep, Troy. Hockey don't sleep.
No. Especially when you got one rink in your city. You got to go everywhere else to find ice.
Very true. Well, Troy, now, and what's now, I guess, going to be a regular segment for us. I can't see how it won't be. Maybe we'll call it Josh and Troy actually learn how to say Canadian, European names, cities in Canada, whatever you want to call it. So we were talking about Guelph. I like to say Guelph. Actually, somebody chimed in, and we're going to trust him on this.
Yeah.
Because it's Guelph, which is kind of just as fun to say. So I'm good at that.
Yeah.
So obviously home of one of your favorite teams, Troy, the Guelph Storm.
Nice.
There's a correction from last show of your two favorite idiots. I can't say any names right. Another kind of newsy item for us. We don't have those very often.
No.
And we've told the short story a bunch of really how the show started with no plan whatsoever and no expectations that anyone would ever listen. There's still no plan whatsoever, in case that's not obvious with anyone. Well, when we posted our first episode to the podcast apps, or we're going to post the first episode, I was setting up the profile. And when you're setting up like any profile, it says upload your logo. And I'm like, crap, we need a logo. So I went to Canva and for sure, Troy, in less than like 5 minutes, used my amazing clip art design abilities to create a logo. And it served us for the last year and a half. It's been fine. Good old chap. This old Gong Show logo. But it's also totally problematic from like a design perspective. Like if you want to get a t-shirt printed with like 44,000 shades of blue in the background to represent ice, that doesn't work really well. Didn't translate great. Like the Gong Show is like super like thin and tiny. So yeah, it's problematic. In an attempt for us to be at least slightly professional, we had our logo reimagined by an actual professional designer, which was cool. And here it is. It's the new Gong Show logo. We kind of like it. And now we're going to feel comfortable, I think, doing some more branding stuff wise. So, yeah, we got a new logo if you haven't noticed it already.
I have to admit to something. This is how dumb I am, or obtuse maybe I am. I had absolutely no clue until just recently that this was a gong in the background. And that's like the wire, right? That it's hanging on.
Yes.
I didn't even know that until we started doing these designs. I was like, oh, that's a gong back there. I had no idea. I never brought it up, and I just now have realized it. So that's pretty cool.
That shows you how good my design abilities are. Because I couldn't even make a gong, which is basically just a circle, look like a gong. But the designer did a great job. We're really happy with it and excited to roll it out. So, Troy, do we have a Gong Show button bar update? We talked about that last show.
We do. We do have a button bar update that Troy went down a rabbit hole and started looking at 15 other button bars. So now I'm in the process of deciding how crazy I want to get. But it will be ordered by this weekend for sure.
Okay. All right, cool. We have had some audio issues. I've got a new computer too, so I want to apologize for that for the last couple episodes. Think we've diagnosed the problem. Been working feverishly to do that. One last thing too before we get started is just a reminder that the Hockey Cards Gongshow podcast is a Patreon podcast. That means we rely on support from listeners like yourself to help us cover our show expenses, continue to produce more and hopefully better hockey card content and cool logos, and to help fund initiatives even in a small way to grow the hockey card hobby. Right now, you can still be one of our out of 199 support level tiers. First 199 people that support our show. It's $5 a month. You also get exclusive access to our Gong Show Discord server and chat with us every day there. Very easy to support us. All you got to do is go to our website, hockeycardsgongshow.com, click on the Become a Patron link at the top of the page, or you go to the Patreon website directly, patreon.com, and search for Hockey Cards Gong Show. You can visit the link in the show description if you're listening to us on a podcast app, or in our YouTube description. And then finally in our Instagram and TikTok profiles, there's a link to our Patreon there. All right, man. Busy show today. Lots of stuff to get through. Ready with the game plan, Troy?
On today's show, we begin with the almost greatest NHL player to wear number 41. Then we continue our rookie deep dive segment. And Josh, it's a guy that's very close to our hearts. So there's a hint for everyone. Next, it's off to hobby news, followed by a segment where we try to make sense of the hockey hobby market. We end the show with the trifecta of new product releases, some of our favorite hockey cards in the current PWCC Weekly Auction, and personal pickups. Okay, Josh, previously we looked at the greatest NHL player that wore the number that matched our episode number. We ran through all the numbers, so we are now looking at the almost greatest NHL player to wear each number from the runners-up in the Hockey Writers' Greatest NHL Player to Wear Each Number article. So, the almost greatest NHL player to wear number 41, per the nominees in the Hockey Writers' Greatest NHL Player to Wear Each Number article, and selected by me, is Craig Anderson, Josh. We know this guy.
I do know this guy. Is this just turning into Troy's favorite goalie segment, or is it more the spat of numbers that we're in?
If there's a goalie, I'm going to choose him, basically.
I know.
No, actually, here's the fun fact. Both runners-up were goalies. So the other nominee at number 41 was Mike Smith, and I didn't want to touch Mike Smith. So I said Craig Anderson is my guy. As a reminder, the greatest to wear number 41 was Jason Allison. I forgot about that one. A long time ago. All right, Josh. Craig Anderson, goalie from Park Ridge, Illinois. We have an American. Anderson, he was originally drafted 77th overall in the 1999 NHL entry draft by the Calgary Flames. However, Anderson was unable to come to terms with Calgary and therefore re-entered the NHL entry draft in 2001 and was selected 73rd overall by the Chicago Blackhawks. Now, Josh, the season before Anderson was drafted by Calgary and the next two seasons before being drafted by Chicago, guess who our boy played for? Don't cheat. Did you cheat?
I cheated. Sorry.
The Guelph Storm. You can't make this up. I had no idea. And then Guelph. And then I saw that. I'm like, of course he played for the Guelph Storm after we butchered the name and talked about it on today's show. So, yeah, Anderson's a Guelph Storm product. Anderson played in 709 regular season NHL games over a 20-season NHL career. Anderson played for a plethora of teams during his NHL career. He played his first 3 seasons with Chicago, his next 3 seasons with Florida, then a season and a half with Colorado, and then it was on to Ottawa for a little over 9 seasons. He ended his career with 1 season with Washington and 2 seasons with Buffalo. For his awards and accomplishments, there is one. He's a one-time Bill Masterton winner. That's all we got for our boy, but very long accomplished career. His regular season stats, 319 wins, 275 losses, 73 ties for a 2.86 goals against average, .912 save percentage, and 43 shutouts. Now, Josh, check this out. This is one of those guys where it's like he didn't make the playoffs very often. Anderson made the playoffs in 6 of his 20 NHL seasons.
Brutal.
Compiling stats of 24 wins, 23 losses, goals against average of 2.36, .929 save percentage, 4 shutouts, and 48 NHL playoff games played. That's got to be depressing when you think about it. You're like, I just can't make the playoffs, but that's what happens during some bad teams. All right, before I even talk about the best season, do you like these old Senator jerseys with the guy on the front? I love these. I thought these were so cool when they came out.
Yeah, I think they're cool, and now I can't picture what the new logo looks like.
I can't even either. I know this thing on the patch or on the shoulders now. I
it might be.
I can't. Yeah, whatever. I don't follow Senators that closely. Got to reach out to Phil, get Phil to give us our Senators update. All right, the best season of his NHL career from a stats perspective, I went with his 2012-13 season with Ottawa, where Anderson, now this is going to sound pretty low, had 12 wins, 9 losses, 2 ties, with a 1.69 goals against average, .941 save percentage, and 3 shutouts in 24 regular season games played. However, remember that the 2012-13 season was the lockout shortened season where teams only played 48 games. In addition, Anderson finished 4th in the Vezina Trophy voting for the 2012-13 season. So that's kind of the one I landed on. Anderson was best known for his seasons with Ottawa, where he had some really great seasons. He was also known for his longevity, playing 20 seasons and retiring at the age of 41. In 2016-17, Anderson went 25 wins, 11 losses, 4 ties with a 2.28 goals against average, taking the Senators to the Eastern Conference Final. He played 40 games that season, taking several leaves of absence during the season to be with his wife, Nicole, who was undergoing treatment for throat cancer. Anderson was awarded the Masterton Trophy, given to the player who exemplifies the qualities of perseverance, sportsmanship, and dedication to hockey.
41 years old is old.
Yep.
Did you see? I wonder what the oldest goalie was. That's got to be getting close to that, right?
I'll be Fleury pretty soon. No, I'm just kidding. He's getting
Fleury's
up there.
39. So
Yeah,
he's 2 full years ahead of Fleury.
Yeah. I don't know what the old. I should look that up. But Anderson is currently employed by the Buffalo Sabres, Josh, as a hockey liaison. So not the ambassador. He's a hockey liaison. The part-time role doesn't make him a coach or an executive. According to the Sabres, Anderson will be a trusted voice in the Sabres locker room, providing insight, guidance, and support to the players and coaching staff. Yep, I found the press release, and that's what it said. He also runs goalie camps in the summer in Chicago.
Like, legitimately, what do you think he gets paid for that?
I have no idea.
He can't get paid a ton of money, right? I mean, that's like
but
the
it's
stupidest
like
job ever.
Yeah, it's like a consultant, though. They probably pay him like $50,000 or some stupid amount.
Like, Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen is sad, so he goes and cheers him up, or does meditation with Devin Levi and gets like a 6-figure check. Not anymore, because Devin Levi.
He can't do that. He can't do that anymore. Yeah, maybe they got a friendship bench. He'll sit next to you and talk about your feelings. All right, for his fun, interesting facts. During his tenure with Guelph, Anderson was known as Craig Anderson. However, his last name was spelled with 2 S's. In an interview with Sportsnet in 2011, Anderson admitted he added an extra S to his surname following a tournament in Sweden, in which he said was to serve as a memento to his time in the country. Upon being drafted by the Flames in 1999, he was recognized in the team's official records as Craig Anderson with 2 S's, despite the fact it wasn't actually his legal surname. Anderson was forced to abandon the practice of using the extra letter upon signing his first professional contract with the Blackhawks. So that just boggled my mind. And guess where?
I think he did that to thinking that, well, a European goalie would get more attention than
maybe
an American
he just
goalie.
wanted to be fun and say I added an extra S. But where this becomes an issue is when you look up his stinking cards, because some have him listed as 2 S's and some have 1 S. And actually, TCDB actually does a good job. You can do just Craig Anderson and he'll find them all. But it was a little. I still can't figure out the BGS. Looking up his cards in BGS, it seems like a mess, but we won't even get there. In 10 seasons in Ottawa, Anderson had 202 wins, 168 losses, 46 ties. He is the Senators' all-time leader for goalies in games played, 435, starts 422, wins with 202, and save percentage at .914, and is second in shutouts with 28, 2 behind Patrick Lalime. On March 2nd, 2008, Anderson set a then NHL record for saves in a shutout with 53 in a 1-0 victory against the New York Islanders. 2 nights later, he stopped 40 shots in a 1-0 victory against the Boston Bruins, giving him 93 saves over 2 consecutive shutouts.
That'll help the old save percentage on the season.
That'll help the save percentage a lot. Anderson became the 6th U.S.-born goalie to have 300 NHL wins when he made 30 saves for the Sabres in a 3-1 victory against the Vegas Golden Knights on March 10th, 2022. If you're curious who the other ones are, in reverse order from 5 to 1, Mike Richter and Jonathan Quick both have 301 wins. Barrasso has 369. Van Beesbrook has 374. And Ryan Miller has 391 wins.
Okay, Troy, best U.S.-born goalie all time.
I don't know. I've always loved Barrasso just because he was kind of cocky and didn't care what anyone thought of him. And Brassel's, he's one of those guys that fell in. He played when I was a kid, so I just have like kind of nostalgia for him. Ryan Miller, I just never got around. Like I just didn't understand. I didn't watch him enough probably to get it, but he was just one of those guys. Seemed like, I think if I remember, it was Miller number 1 overall. I can't remember if he was a 1 overall or not, but definitely a good goalie. But Brasso was the guy I would gravitate to on this list.
Wasn't Ryan Miller kind of playing when we were raising babies, and that it was hard to?
Yeah, he's in that. Yeah, he's in that era where it's like I didn't probably pay as much attention as I used to hockey because I had a kid screaming at me or baby screaming in my face. I'm actually looking up Ryan Miller because he was 138th overall. Never mind.
But number 1 in your heart.
And number 1 at age 40. This is where the NHL and their PR machine goes a little nuts. At age 40, Anderson became the oldest NHL goalie to win outdoors. Now you know. And finally, on December 13th, 2022, Anderson became the second NHL goalie since 1955-56 when shots on goals were officially tracked with a 40-save shutout at age 41 or older, following Johnny Bauer, who did so twice on November 1st, 1967 and January 13th, 1966. Anderson made 40 saves in Buffalo's 6-0 win against the LA Kings. There you go, Josh. A lot of records about being old. I don't know if I guess it's kind of cool, but known for being an old guy that still could play and a goalie. You don't see goalies make it to that age a lot. Usually the hips and the knees give out by then.
I always get the sense that bugs athletes. Like when Tom Brady in his last couple of years, it became the whole narrative was look how well he's playing and he's super old.
Yeah. That's you don't want to be reminded of that. It just reminds you of that, your mortality. All right. Here's rookie card, Josh. 2002-03 SP Authentic Future Watch. Serial numbered out of 900. All right. PSA 10 pop of 3 for this card. Gem rate of 50%. So yes, only 6 graded copies. In fact, with his last name spelled with 2 S's, he has 8 total graded cards at PSA. With his last name spelled with 1 S, he has 7 graded cards at PSA for a whopping total of 13 total graded cards at PSA. So not a lot of hobby love for our boy. However, last sale of this card in a PSA 10 grade, the Future Watch, was for $202.50 US on March 19th of 2023 via eBay and verified in Terapeak. Yeah, I see he's got 2 S's and oops.
But to sign his contract, he had to drop one of the S, right?
Yeah, because this isn't his legal name, so he had to sign it right.
That's crazy. Craig Anderson, known for being old and pretty good at goalie too. Okay, Troy, we're back with another exciting edition of Rookie Deep Dive, where we're on a quest to actually learn about these guys and not just make judgments on how good rookies are based on how much their young guns cost. Admit it, we've all done that, right? We've all gotten excited about a guy not knowing really anything. It's like, oh, his young guns were $40. He must be good. So each week, Troy, we scour the rookie scoring leaderboard to find 4 new candidates to learn more about. We present those candidates for your vote by an Instagram poll, and then we do a deep dive on the winner. We'll get to this week's candidates in a second, but to recap the 2023-24 rookies we've covered so far: Matthew Nyes, Luke Hughes, Devin Levi, Matthew Coronado, Dustin Wolf came in to the game against the Wild last night. Ridley Gregg, Marco Rossi, Matthew Poitras, Pavel Minchukov, and Brant Clark. So this week, Troy, we had 4 candidates: Brock Faber, Dmitry Voronikov, who's sneaking up the rookie scoring leaderboard, Kevin Korchinski, and Bobby Brink. Just leaving Bobby Brink on there maybe someday, Bobby. Chris Minnetonka. Kind of a landslide. Remember last week, I think it was really close. This one, Brock Faber totally stole the show, getting 48% of the vote. Nobody cares about Voronkov. 8%, Korchinski at 15%, and then Bobby Brink came in at second at 30%. So that, Troy, makes this week's Rookie Deep Dive subject our own Brock Faber.
All right, here we go.
He's a 21-year-old defenseman for our Minnesota Wild who originally hails from Maple Grove, Minnesota. 6'1", 200 pounds, right-handed shot defenseman. Brock was the 45th overall pick in the 2020 NHL entry draft by the LA Kings. Prior to being drafted, Faber spent the 2019-20 season playing for the U.S. National Development Team. And then he was originally committed to Notre Dame
Oh, boo.
to play college hockey. But don't worry, Troy. He came to his senses and ended up suiting up for, yes, the maroon and gold.
There you go.
Born in Minnesota, raised in Minnesota, went to college in Minnesota, and now plays for Minnesota.
Yeah, good Minnesota.
All right, people, we're going to go all nutty here and drive you all crazy with our being obnoxious in our Minnesota glory here. Yeah, here he is with beautiful colors, maroon and gold. Row the boat. Sky Yuma, go Gophers. Faber would end up spending 3 years in Dinky Town, Troy, playing for our maroon and gold. In his 3 college seasons, he scored only 7 goals, but added 46 assists for 53 points in 97 games played. He was named to the All Big Ten freshman team in 2021, All Big Ten first team in 2022 and 2023. He was the Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year in both 2022 and 2023 as well. And then in 2023, named to an AHCA West first team All-American. What the heck is that?
No, that's not right. That has to be AHCA is the club league. That's like where the club teams play.
Oh, I don't know.
I think
it's in Wikipedia, and everything's right in Wikipedia.
So. Everything is right. Yeah, it's
scratch that.
Yeah, that's like I'm pretty sure that's where like the club teams, like Iowa State has it's American Hockey.
Yeah.
No. Maybe you're looking at American Hockey Coaches Association. That's another age.
Yeah.
There's the American Collegiate Hockey Association, which is where all the club teams. And now I'm going to go on a rant. There's a podcast out there about AHCA teams and that college hockey. It is fantastic. And the videos about this stuff. If you watch like a North Carolina, like University of North Carolina has a hockey team. They play in this AHCA. It is awesome. The crowd is crazy. They're rowdy. They sell out their little arena. It's really, really cool. Yeah.
That's cool.
AHCA hockey is no joke. And the Gophers do have, I think, club teams that probably play in this. I'm pretty sure they do.
I'm sure they do.
Yeah. But I bet you probably looked up the hockey college coaches or whatever.
I just looked up his awards, and that was one of them that was listed.
Yep.
And then I didn't look up what AHCA was.
That's gotta be
American Hockey Coaches Association.
Yeah.
Okay. He was also named captain of our Golden Gophers. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see the big C on his chest there for the 2022-23 season. Even though he's drafted by the Kings, though, Troy, his time was never meant to be in LA because when the Wild decided that we don't need goals, assists, or Kevin Fiala, we shipped Fiala away to the Kings and got back a first rounder plus the rights for Brock Faber. Then, following the Golden Gophers' soul-crushing loss to Quinnipiac in the national championship game last spring, the Wild signed Faber on April 9th, and he joined the team just in time for the Wild's soul-crushing first-round playoff. But he's from Minnesota, so he knows, right?
Yeah, he knows what he's in for.
This is fate in life. He did play well in a short stint with the team, worked very hard during the summer, a lot was made of that, and did make the Wild out of training camp. The coaches, whether you go back to Dean Evison, who was here before, now to John Hines, the GM, Billy Guerin, they have gushed over this kid like endlessly. It's, I think they all want to like adopt him or something. They have lauded how comfortable he's been, how mature he's been on the ice, that he looked like a 10-year vet the day he stepped out for his first shift, all those sort of cliches that they throw out left and right. He has been paired, though, this season with Jonas Brodin, and that's our kind of a top pairing, I guess, and that they typically take on the opponent's best line players or top lines. Now, Faber is known more as a defensive stalwart than an offensive producer, but the team has been working with him and pushing him to utilize his offensive abilities a little bit more. That's one change that new Wild coach John Hines has made as he's moved Faber to the power play, which is kind of crazy, Troy, because even when Faber was with the Gophers for almost 100 games, he never once played on the power play.
Wow.
He's just always been that kind of shutdown defender kind of guy. Another change Hines has made is encouraging like quick zone exits for defenders, also joining the rush a lot, and taking chances offensively. And so who knows, Troy, whereas Faber has built, like I said, his reputation as a stalwart defender, there might be some more offensive upside for him
Mhm.
down the road. And many will point to his excellent skating and hockey mind as reasons that could happen and maybe a little more offensive output. On the season, Faber has scored 1 goal, added 9 assists for 10 points in 23 games played. So that puts him, Troy, 15th on the rookie scoring leaderboard. Kind of a logjam, though, as like
Yeah.
10 of the top 15 rookies have between 10 and 13 points. So consider that. And then looking at the hobby perspective, I think you have to measure the investing side of your brain at this point because we just know that great defensemen that don't still fill up the stat sheet get zero hobby love.
Yep.
And like the whole maybe offensive side of Faber's game is like very new, as in weeks. This is not the pedigree that you typically
No.
look for. And so I think as a collector, he's would be a good buy, of course, and someone that would be fun to collect. He seems like he's going to have a very long career. He's already basically elevated to the top defensive spot after what 25 games in his
Yeah.
career. I was at our local card shop today too, buying a box of SP Game Used, and I was asking him a little bit about who people are asking about from the Wild, and everyone in the shop was like Faber, Faber, Faber,
Mm.
right? Because he's the local kid, and even more so than Marco Rossi or Matt Boldy, who still has rookie cards coming out. That
Yeah.
here, anyways, everyone kind of wants to get their Faber cards. So, do you think we lucked out in getting this kid, Troy? Do you think he's as good as advertised, or as people are gushing about?
Well, I mean, if they like him this much, I guess so. I haven't seen him play enough to make a judgment, but I'll take him for now.
Brock Faber's a 2023-24 Series 1 Young Guns. To date, Troy, there have been 0 sales of a Faber Young Guns PSA 10, which got me curious. I actually did a PSA Pop Report search, and apparently none have been graded or have completed grading. I can't imagine none have been sent to graded. Also did a player search as well just to cover my bases and couldn't find anything. Raw cards, though, so far there have been 515 Faber Young Guns that have sold on the secondary markets. His base Young Guns right now selling around $10 US on average. It was averaging about $6 a few weeks ago, so we're seeing a little bit of a bump there. And biggest sale to date for Faber is an Outburst Red Young Guns out of 25 that sold for $400 US on October 24th via eBay and verified as paid in Terrapeak.
Mm-hmm.
So there you have it, Troy. Brock Faber, Ricky Deep Dive. You learn anything?
I learned that his Outburst Red is 40 times this raw card. That's pretty interesting.
We've mentioned this before about other people too, or other players on the Wild. But if you go to the Wild's YouTube channel, if you want to learn more about Brock Faber, they had a really great episode. I think they call them Becoming Wild.
Yeah.
They're about 20 minutes long. So I would recommend that to anyone that's interested in learning more about Faber. Okay, Troy, we're going to make a mention for Gongshow partner and sponsor Slab Sharks. Of course, we're very grateful to them. Want to thank them for helping make today's show possible. It is Thursday, which means tonight the Slab Sharks weekly eBay auction ends. So to make sure to head to slabsharks.com to get all of your bids in. Looks like there's about 1,600 cards in the auction. Big chunk of those are hockey, of course. So lots of amazing cards to choose from. And if by chance you're listening to this later than Thursday, it's not a problem. Once again, because once one auction ends, the next one begins. And there's always great hockey cards that you can find in their auctions by going to slabsharks.com. And Troy, if you are a Canadian hockey cards collector and maybe need some holiday cash or just looking to move some cards, we'd strongly recommend checking out Slabsharks eBay consignment services, as they have a huge weekly presence on eBay. They make it ridiculously easy to sell your cards. All you got to do is send them your cards or drop them off with Slabsharks representative at a card show. It seems like they're at almost every card show in Canada. I don't know if that's accurate, but I just see social media posts all the time. You don't have to fight to take good photos, labor over filling out listings, answer buyer questions, hunt down payments, or figure out how to ship to the U.S. buyers, or handle any post-sale issues, because they do it all. And if you have Connor Bedard cards, through next June, they're offering 98% payout rates if you sell Connor Bedard. So if you sell a Connor Bedard on eBay yourself, eBay takes like 13%. If Slab Sharks charges you 2%, and they do all the work. In fact, they just posted, if you're watching on YouTube, a graphic on their Instagram. If you're not following them too, go follow them at Slab Sharks Inc. detailing the results or the stats behind the Bedard promo to date, and they're really pretty impressive. So far they've sold 135 Connor Bedard cards for a total of 57,892. Now I'm going to assume that's Canadian dollars because they're a
That's
Canadian
right, yeah.
company.
I'd assume so.
And it paid out of the 57,892, they paid out 56,734.
Wow.
Right? That's what a 98% payout
Yeah.
rate looks. So it's really a no-brainer. If you're in Canada and you have a Bedard card, you can't beat this deal selling it through Slab Sharks. Again, check out slabsharks.com for complete consignment information and to get started consigning your cards with them today. Have a news.
Do it.
Do it. So, where were you, Troy, when you learned that maybe 70s and 80s O-Pee-Chee cards were not cut by wires, leading to that beautiful rough cut that we know and love, but maybe were cut by just dull blades that O-Pee-Chee was too lazy to sharpen. Now,
too late, okay? Overproduced overworked workers that needed their bonuses.
It's okay if you need a minute. This is kind of like finding out the Easter Bunny's not real, Troy. That the wire cut thing never happened. In all seriousness, though, and it's really funny how this stuff works. Where we've been doing this show a long time. I think we've mentioned wire cut probably 10 times, I would assume at this point, at least. And all of a sudden, everybody's coming out of the woodworks and saying that's kind of a wives' tale, right? That there was no such thing as wire cut. They were cut by blades that were just really dull. And I'm grateful that these people reach out because definitely love to learn about this sort of stuff. People like Bobby Burrell, who's written I think one of the best vintage hockey card books, reached out. We had a guy, Ward, on Facebook. We've had other people reach out, but I want to read Bobby's message regarding were O-Pee-Chee cards wire cut versus cut by blades, because I think it's pretty succinct, and I'll probably take his word for it since he's written the book on vintage hockey cards. Here's what Bobby said. O-Pee-Chee didn't sharpen their blades often, and when a card set went into production, they would push them out as fast as they could. The dull blades would tear as opposed to cut, hence giving you that O-Pee-Chee rough cut. Back at one time in the 90s, I believe, put it out there that they were cut with wires. I even have pictures to confirm the slitter, so that must be the blade.
All right.
There you go, Troy. Lazy blade sharpening and Beckett
created
the conspiracy theories, or I guess are to blame for us living our entire hockey card collecting lives and believing the wire cut lie. And to me, it kind of makes more sense, because had you ever sat and wondered, how does a wire
unless you're doing sheet by sheet, but no way you could be I got this wire and I just stretch it out and there it goes.
And where it fell apart for me is that not every O-Pee-Chee rough cut is the same. Some are actually the packed out O-Pee-Chee cards have very little indication of that kind of frame that you would see in an O-Pee-Chee rough cut. And I would think about, would a wire be sharper and then how does a wire get dull? It's just a cord. So the blade thing makes more sense to me, and the fact that they were dull and tearing, that kind of makes sense as well. So maybe mystery solved. Thank you to Bobby Burrell and everyone else, Sports Card Professor Ward, for chiming in. They all went Sherlock Holmes on the bit, and I guess we solved the mystery. So
there we go.
Now we know. The more you know, Troy. The more you know. Well, Troy, your best friend forever, Gary Bettman, has let it be known that the NHL is predicting the salary cap to increase for next season, which would be about a $4.2 million increase year over year. So does that mean, Troy, that the Wild have to give Zach Parise and Ryan Suter that money too, if they want to keep them, as their current reason was to why we can't win? We can't win because
they're almost off the books. 2 more years.
Well, I think that the management just want to keep paying him because then they have that built-in excuse.
Yeah, I guess. Garen likes to use that all the time. I'm hamstrung, but I did it. But wait, I'm hamstrung by this buyout. But
I can't win because Parise and Suter, but I'm the one that bought him out. Yeah.
I'm the one that bought him out.
Circular logic. So in all seriousness, though, this should give everyone's favorite team some more money, maybe to sign a player or re-sign a current star. Might not be enough for the Leafs to sign like a Nylander, but maybe. You never know.
Hmm.
He also said, though, your guy Bettman, that the NHL is projecting 6.2 billion in revenue this season. So to give you a little bit of context, last year the NFL's revenue was 12 billion. NBA's will be about 11 billion, just over 10 billion for Major League Baseball. So the NHL isn't like that bad, right? It's about 60, half or 50, 60% of the other sports leagues.
I'm curious of the split between Canadian and US in that revenue number.
Oh, really? What would that
Yeah.
mean? I'm not following.
Just how much, because right, that's part of the problem is they have to deal with Canadian dollars a lot. Like in contracts, and I think in the players agreement, I can't remember if it's actually stated that all players have to be paid in US dollars. I can't remember. Or if they can be paid in Canadian, and the revenue you have Canadian teams where the NFL obviously doesn't have any Canadian teams. NBA has 2, right? Is there 2 or 1 now? Toronto, and is there another one, or
no, just Toronto. Just Toronto.
Just Toronto, and baseball doesn't have any. Or wait, they got Toronto and jeez, I want to say the Expos, but I know they're not around anymore. But yeah, so I the NHL having they got 6 teams there. I'm always curious, like their little split, and I got to believe they got huge markets, obviously in Montreal and Toronto. But very interesting. Yeah, I wouldn't expect it. I didn't think it was that close to football being 12 billion. I mean, it's still half, but it's more than I thought.
6 with the B is a real number, though. So
yeah,
hopefully it means that hockey is growing and still a viable, of course, business. But every indicator we have seems that way. Your guy Gary also gave an update on the Yotes situation in Arizona. So it sounds like next season they're going to be back at ASU campus in Mullet Arena. The team is apparently working hard to find a location and sign an agreement for a new arena in the East Valley area of Greater Phoenix. If the team can't lock down a site this season, then the concept of relocation might still be a possibility, which would be a shame at this point because they're playing real well. They got a really young, good core, and I don't know. I kind of want to see him stay in Arizona.
Yeah. I mean, it's always funny that they made it to Arizona. I guess you can kind of blame Gretzky for that, I guess. But I'd like to see him stay. But again, they're not gonna let him lose money forever, even though they've tried for the longest time to keep letting him lose money. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Sometimes you just got to pack up and move.
Yeah. All right, moving on to Whatnot. There's some new breaker policies. Now, it seems like we don't break much anymore. So I feel a little out of the loop there. But a lot of people were chatting on social media the other day about this. Seems like they're tightening the screws a little bit on sports card breaking in the app, Troy. On Tuesday, they announced new seller guidelines that will take effect early next year. In general, they seem to be making it a little bit tougher to start breaking actually on the platform. You'll have to apply and then meet some certain eligibility requirements that I think includes prior experience selling on the app and a certain amount of like good customer reviews. So you
wait. How are you supposed to sell on the app if you're new? How are you supposed to have prior experience?
Breaking. So you'd have to sell singles. You'd have to sell singles in order to
well, that's okay.
This one's really interesting to me too, and I wish I had more time to try to figure out why they've updated their policy to now prohibit any memorabilia being included in sports card breaks. So a lot of times you'd see a breaker add like I think like Hip Parade or people like that do
Hip Parade
jersey boxes, or I've seen signed pucks before. And now that's a total no-no. Now you can do memorabilia breaks. You just can't commingle the memorabilia with sports cards. And I'm trying to, I wonder if there's like there's got to be like maybe a different risk profile or a different legal set of liabilities around that they don't want mixed. Because inherently it doesn't seem bad to have a random jersey inserted in a sports card break, does it?
Yeah. They're pretty synergistic, I would think, between audience and everything. But yeah, I have no clue what's going on.
Then they're being pretty overt, and I'm not sure if this is completely new, but everybody who has a spot needs to get something in a break, and which is, I think, another indicator that they're just tightening the screws around legality and and protection. And if
Yeah.
people leave a break empty-handed, I think the case that that action is gambling gets much stronger, right?
Mm.
And so we've seen other platforms like TikTok get more restrictive too. So I just it has to be lawyers getting
Yeah.
involved and wanting to protect the company because I don't think like Whatnot wants to necessarily make it tougher to sell on their platform. They're making their moves because of either perceived or actual legal risk, and
Yeah.
sometimes the lawyers get involved and they don't want you to do anything. So, anyways, I also think it's another kind of sign that the hobby maturing, right, and that the Wild West or Gold Rush times are ending, and we're getting a little more corporate, a little more buttoned up. But I don't know, thoughts on any of these changes, Troy?
I mean, I get what they're doing. I'm sure, like you said, it's lawyers got involved and they're trying to protect the company. And we'll just see how it plays out. We know, or they had a call or something. Was it yesterday or 2 days ago with all the breakers?
Yeah.
And went over some stuff, and I don't think much came out of it. But we'll just have to kind of watch it and see how it plays out.
If you want more detail on the changes, Whatnot has published the new guidelines on their website, so go check them out there. Okay, now we'll do some quick news and notes. So Tuesday night, Troy, was a total Hughesapalooza in the NHL as the New Jersey Devils took on the Vancouver Canucks in a game that for the very first time featured the trio of Dynamic Hughes kids, Quinn, Jack, and Luke, and no stepbrother Jack Quinn. But
I didn't even notice the first time I saw this picture that you put Jack Quinn all tiny in the corner. I love it.
Luke is quite a bit bigger than Quinn and Jack, huh?
Yeah, I didn't realize that.
Big size difference. And Troy, what a Hughes family showcase the game turned out to be.
Yeah.
So brothers Luke and Jack bested brother Quinn, with the Devils eking out a 6-5 win over the Canucks. All three Hughes brothers got on the score sheet. Jack had a goal and 2 assists, including an assist on his brother Luke's second period power play goal. And then Quinn Hughes had 2 third period assists for the Nucks. It's pretty cool though, huh?
Very cool. Was it these guys that they did the picture, that 2 of them did a picture together and then one pushed the other one away afterwards? Or was that
I didn't see that.
That might have been different brothers at a game. I saw it was like a week ago, but it was 2 brothers on different teams. They did a picture together, and then at the end, the one just shoves the other one away afterwards.
Funny. All right, moving on. Tage Thompson returned to action last night for the Sabres. So he returned to the lineup after missing 9 games. Originally, Thompson was expected to try to miss 4 to 6 weeks after he's hit in the hand on November 14th by a shot from the Bruins' Charlie McAvoy. In his absence, though, the team struggled mightily, so the presumption was that Thompson accelerated his return to help the ailing Sabres, who were 3-5-1 without him. Well, did it work? No. Sabres lost 5-3. Thompson did get an assist, though, on a Rasmus Dahlin goal. And if you recall, Troy, it was just about this time last year when we were having like a Thompson hobby explosion along with Jason Robertson. Boy, what a difference a year makes. Pretty quiet, of course, missed a number of games. He's been hurt. He did finish last season with 47 goals, 47 assists for 94 points in 78 games played. This season, he only has 6 goals, 7 assists for 13 points in 17 games played. So again, much quieter. We'll see if he can ramp it up, though, a little bit now that he's returned. Tage Thompson is a 2017 Young Guns. His PSA 10 pop 453 has a 28% gem rate, last sold for 132 US.
Yeah.
On November 27th, down about 41% since the start of the season. So when you're injured and irrelevant and not named Cole Caulfield, cards tend to go down.
Yeah.
Last thing in hobby news, just want to make a quick announcement for our sponsor, My Card Post. So today they launched their integration with Mascot. And if you're not familiar with Mascot, it's a platform that allows you to list your cards in one place and then push them to almost every selling platform like eBay, MySlabs, My Card Post. They have tons of different networks on there. It's a huge game changer for My Card Post. Very happy for Mark and the crew there who are working hard to really innovate for the hobby. So basically now you create that one listing on Mascot, it goes to eBay and My Card Post. If the card sells on eBay, that's great. If it sells on MCP, then you don't pay fees, which is better. Other than that small monthly subscription, you can also make the cards like have it for sale on eBay and for sale on My Card Post, but also available for trade on My Card Post. So it gives you just a ton of flexibility in how you want to move your cards. talked to Mark briefly today, and he said like within a couple hours, literally thousands of listings have been added to their platform. Like they might double the amount. They had like 11,000 cards listed in one day.
Well, I wouldn't surprise me because I don't know how was it just literally you just go in and now say refresh my sellers and my card post
Something
is
like
on
that.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure
Yeah.
it sounds like I it's one of my regrets that I haven't looked into Mascot and as in detail as much as I should because it seems like a pretty cool thing. And
The
just
mascot is free, so it
yeah,
doesn't cost you anything. And I just love too that because nobody wants to list the same card in
yeah,
5
it
different
sucks.
places.
Yeah.
Then you have the whole issue. Well, what if it sells on eBay and I forget to remove it from my card
And it
post
takes
or vice
care of that,
versa?
right? It
It
removes
takes
it.
care of it.
That's
Yeah.
crazy. Good for them. Like if it works like they say, that's amazing.
If anybody too wants to try a My Card Post subscription, they start at $9, I think, a month. Top end is $22 a month. Just a reminder that you can use the promo code GongShow30 and save 30% off of your first 3 months. So congrats to My Card Post. Pretty awesome news there. Okay, Troy. Kind of a big topic I've been thinking a lot of lately. And we're kind of getting to the end of 2023. So you start
Mhm.
to naturally reflect on the year. For me, it's been a really interesting year, I think, in the hobby. I I feel like when considering the market, we've seen a lot of conflicting data points and have definitely heard a ton of opinions on kind of where the market is at too. And like most things in life, if you're active in the hobby, your perspective is largely going to be molded by what your experience has been. So if you've gotten this year a bunch of cheaper PC cards to add to your collection than maybe you would have a couple years ago, or are feeling like you've been successfully maybe buying the dip a little bit as prices have come down, you're probably pretty happy. If you cashed in your 401k and spent 300 grand buying cards in 2022, you might be on medication at
Yeah.
this point because that's probably taken a pretty big hit, and then you might be sour on the hobby. So that's I think one thing to remember too when kind of thinking about the market is that, and I think it's important to listen to everybody. Everybody's perspective is going to be different. A guy like Jeremy Lee got into the hobby so many years ago and has been buying active that he paid nothing for all the cards he owns. So anything he sells is way up, right? For versus people that spent a lot of money. We did that today, a post about an Ovechkin Cup RPA from 2005 that was originally bought in I think October of 2021, September maybe, for $107,000, something like
Yeah.
that, and then just sold a couple days ago for 52,000, the exact same card. So went down more than 50% in a 2-year span, and that would hurt. I don't care how
Yeah.
rich you are, right?
Yeah.
I don't buy the excuse of, well, nobody wants to lose $50,000 on a sports card.
Nope.
So we just saw this kind of, there's a lot of talk around there. There's a lot of numbers that are being thrown at us. And so I thought we kind of examine maybe where the market's at and try to make sense of it a little bit and figure out a perspective on where we're at today. So we'll start by, I think, just acknowledging the easiest thing to acknowledge, and that's, well, prices and values are down. There's no
Yep.
questioning that. Any index or data point you see, it's plain as day and very consistent across all companies and platforms. So we'll start by looking at the Card Ladder Hockey Index, where year to date, it says the hockey market is down about 17%. There's also not really exactly a sign that a rebound has started because the
Nope.
chart looks like a total ski hill, right? It keeps
Yep.
going down. It's only been going down all year. Now, one thing that's important to know about the Card Ladder Index is that it's comprised of about 1,434 cards. Many of those are the ones you'd expect them to measure as part of their index, but others are not. Hockey is not the biggest priority for whether it be market movers
Yeah.
or Card Ladder. So I don't think that their indexes get curated maybe as good as they should. Like a quick example is there's no Tage Thompson in the hockey index. Now,
Yeah.
you think that would be Tage Thompson Young Guns would be one of the most important 1,400 hockey cards, but it's not in there. And then they have a bunch of kind of guys that are $1 Young Guns and have been for 5 years too. But all that aside, it just means it's not perfect, but it's still an indicator. And it's still
Yeah.
1,400 hockey cards, and the market has clearly gone down. Now, for reference, I looked at the same period on Card Ladder for football, which is down 38%, basketball down 27%, and then baseball is basically on par with hockey, down about 17%. Well, to cover our bases, we'll look at market movers too, and they do their indexes by era, which is kind of
Yeah.
nice in a few ways. First, we'll look at their vintage and older eras, I guess, for hockey, which has 4 indexes. There's 1959 and older, down 14% in the past year. 1960 to 1979 is down 23% in the past year. 1980 to 89 down 10% in the past year. And 1990 to 99 is down 22% in the past year. Again, these are directional. They're
Yeah.
meant to give you a sense. They're not perfect. A good example is if you look at the 1990 to 99 index, there's only 18 cards in there. Now, there has to be more than
Yeah.
18 cards in a decade that
Yeah.
are important, but again, hockey is not the biggest priority. Then when you look at market movers, more modern hockey indexes over the past year, you'll see even some steeper declines. So 2000 to 2009, down 20%, 2010 to 2017, down 24%, 2018 to 2020, down 35%. And then they just have like a couple young guns indexes. I looked at 2021, that's down 22%. So yes, we've just spent 3 minutes reviewing and probably like beating a dead horse at this point. Values are down, markets are down, prices are down. So the first question that you have to ask, I think, is does that mean the hobby is in the crapper? And I just don't think so, Troy. Now, of course, it would be better if everything was going up.
Yeah.
Who doesn't like that? But there's also so many other indicators that we've seen, read, and experienced that actually makes you feel like the hobby is still in a relatively good place. So if you look back at the summer at the National, it was insanity. It was packed with people, 50,000 square feet, and people were engaged. Now, the National isn't the biggest hockey show, but it
Yeah.
just points to, I think, general interest in the sports card hobby. And you could just feel the energy there at the show. Local card shows have been pretty busy still around here.
Yep.
A lot of traffic at card shops like LCSs. They don't love maybe some of the prices
Yeah.
and the volume of product they're being sent in, but they're not complaining about interest in the hobby. And then you had the Fall Expo where kind of like the National, it was insane. It was the biggest ever.
Yep.
There's great vibes. Maybe not as much cash deals, or again, the prices were down a little bit, but it was very active. People were moving cards and they were engaged. And there's something else too that kind of really got me going on this topic today. And it's something I've heard for a while now. I want to say 6 months from a number of sources that they're trying to describe where the hobby's at, Troy. And basically what the consensus is that I've heard is that yes, prices are down, but actually volume is up.
Mm-hmm.
Interest is up. So I've heard, as an example, Chris McGill from Card Ladder say this a number of times this year at various shows that while you can clearly look at Card Ladder and see all their indexes are down, they track all these sales, and actually sales volumes are steady to increasing. Then today, as I'm kind of putting together my notes, I'm scrolling through Instagram and I don't know what you call it, but like we're on like the same wavelength here. There's I think a fairly big consignor called DC Sports 87. They actually published, and I thought this was awesome, to their Instagram, their sales report for the entire year. So I think it goes from January 1st through December 4th. And I think it tells kind of the story we're talking about. So far this year, they've sold 1.369 million cards. That's a lot of cards. Holy
Wow.
cow.
I wonder what Burbank Cards sells in a year.
Yeah. Think of the operations you'd have to just get through that many cards.
Yeah.
For a total of $45.6 million. Not bad, right?
Not bad.
So the average sale per item for them this year is $33.30 US, which is down 15% since last year. Not a surprise, right? Prices are down.
Yep.
But it's the other numbers that are really interesting. So the 1.369 million cards sold is up 22% since last year. And their total revenue of 45.6 million is up 4% over last year too. You look at total buyers is up 10%, one-time buyers up 9%, and repeat buyers is up 10%. So people are spending less per card, but more people are buying cards. Is that interesting to you?
That's very interesting to me. Oh yeah. I think this is just kind of another data point that while prices are down, transactions are up, volume's up. Like I just see that from those card shows. Those are the Fall Expo is the biggest one they've ever had. It was crazy. It was packed, and you went to the National. I didn't, but
Yeah.
it sounds like the same thing. So the interest is there. It's just prices are down.
It kind of makes you think back to pandemic pricing, and if that was just like an anomaly and we're just in a correction and it's not really a sign of like, because what would be really depressing is if prices were down, sales were down, card shops were empty, nobody was at card shows, and you couldn't find anyone to trade cards with.
Yeah.
Where interest in the hobby was down. Because I think that if you look at indicators that would scare you, interest is a much more important one than values. Because values will
Yeah.
go up and down.
Yeah.
The value of a sports card is entirely perceptive, anyways. I mean, there's
Yeah.
no like nothing foundational behind what determines value. This is how people feel about the hobby, the market, nostalgia, what the current. Uh, I don't know. I mean, it is kind of weird how stuff like this gets valued, right?
Oh yeah. It's all subjective. What it's only worth what someone else is willing to pay for it.
So I'm thinking of all this and trying to put it all together for myself. That yes, values are down, not fun, but interest is high. People are excited. People are engaged. You got Bedard mania. A lot of problems in the hobby. Nothing's peachy. Nothing's perfect. Different threats, different issues that have to be solved. But when I put everything together and I tried to, for myself, tried to like, well, how would I describe the hockey market today? The term I came up with is a collector's market, right? You got lots of interest, lots of engagement, and kind of crappy prices. So, and the cool thing about like the hobby space as opposed to like investing in a traditional market where the only really objective is to make money,
Yeah.
right? The net effect of the market being down is we all get access to cards that maybe we were priced out of, or I know I was priced out of 2 years ago, right? I mean, it's no fun to when every awesome card costs $10,000. That's not great either. Now, does that mean that prices still aren't going to go down? We looked at the graph that's been like basically there's been no sign of relief at this point. So yeah, they might keep going down a little bit too. And that doesn't mean that maybe necessarily time to buy. Well, what I'm kind of saying, Troy, is that it's time to take the investment hat off and put on your collector's hat. Right. And we like to brag in the hockey hobby all the time that, well, we're collector driven. We're the
Yeah.
real collectors. Those football people, they're speculators, they're flippers. They come in, they come out. We're collectors in hockey. Well, then this should be great for everyone because I like getting
Great for
cool
me.
cards. Yeah, right. And I think that we're kind of taking advantage of that. And I think that being said, though, too, I still, and maybe I'm just being stubborn, Troy, but I believe that you can make money in the hobby today, even though prices are going down. It's just not as easy as any card with Connor McDavid's name on it goes
Yeah.
up and buy for
Yeah.
20, sell for 40. You got to be really smart. You got to be selective. You got to buy smart and really understand what the people are wanting, what sells quickly, what sells for premium dollars. Because, even though the prices are down, we see record sales every day and we see
Yeah.
certain card types that are still doing really well. So I'm calling it a collector's market. That's where I'm planting my flag. What do you think of all this?
Yeah, well, for someone that doesn't do much on the investing side, I've definitely noticed the prices coming down. I've seen a lot of stuff where I've looked at in the past, and then I look at it again, and I'm like, that looks a little more interesting. But like you said, well, I think look at that Ovi card, what down half from what it sold at 50 some thousand. So there's definitely, I think you're dead on. We are in a collector's market. It's values are down, but transactions, interest, the hobby. I think the growth in people coming to the hobby, I don't know what that is, but it seems like it's growing and there's a lot of people interested in it. So we'll see. Prices probably have to stabilize and they're still probably coming down from that pandemic high. And we'll see where they kind of bottom out at.
Yeah, and everything goes in cycles, though. I think too. Another thing you have to like. I always wanted to look up the term for this, and I never do because I know that there is like a legitimate scientific term that there's something in our brains that where we're like captured in the moment. Where if like we're in a down market, like we have this like fatalistic sense where everything is only going to be bad. It's always going to be bad, and it's never going to be good again. Right? That's like I remember very distinctly the 2008 housing market crash Where here in Minnesota, you could get like townhomes for 90 grand. And had we cashed out our 401ks and leveraged every dollar
Yeah.
we could, we would be stupid rich today had we done that. But everyone's so panicked, right? Because they're like, oh, this townhome that was 160 grand is now worth 90 grand. But it's not going to go to zero. It's a house,
Yeah.
for gosh sake. People need to live there. And I don't think the sports card market's going to go to zero either. There's just too many people that like it and are engaged in it. And now, will it go up next month, next year, next 2 years? I have no idea, right? But I think you have to protect it being like super fatalistic about the whole thing.
Yeah.
Too. It's cyclical. Just goes up and goes down. If you guys have thoughts, I'd love to hear kind of what your perspective on the market is. Do you agree that it's a collector's market? Are you maybe a little bit more negative, you a little bit more worried about where the market's at? Be sure to message us on YouTube or social media. Love to hear your thoughts because that's how we learn too. Okay, we're going to move to new product releases. Another new product today. SP Game Used came out. We went to our local LCS, bought a box. It was about $150 US, which is pretty much, I think, where the pre-sale pricing was at. Now, remember, it's a 1-pack box that's 6 cards. I think in the box, they say you get 1 auto or high-end memorabilia card per box. So of the 6 cards, Troy, 4 of them were memorabilia pieces or had memorabilia in them, 4 of the 6. How many of the 4 do you think had game-used material as the memorabilia piece in the product SP Game Used?
I already know. 0. 0.
0. We had 1 manufactured patch, 2 player-worn jerseys, and 1 solid black banner thing. Like, was it an arena? Was it like a napkin? Or I don't know what it was.
Someone wiped their buffalo sauce off their chicken wings with it.
We had our hit of the pack or box was a draft day marks of our guy JJP out of 35. So a pretty decent hit. He's having a good year so far too, Troy. I already sold it on my card post. It took about an hour.
Oh.
So
hold on, YouTubers. I was slow. Here you go, YouTubers.
Yeah. JJP, our guy there. Shout out to my card post for helping us move the card real quick. Didn't get much else in the box. There was a note. It had actually cards that were pretty damaged. If I wasn't so lazy, I'd probably contact Upper Deck and get them replaced. But, I'm lazy. Another kind of interesting card that was sent to us from All for the Hobby, which was another breaker. There's like a Gretzky kind of draft day marks, but they call it signing day because, of course, he wasn't drafted. Interesting card out of 10. Would be very exciting to pull that. But again, though, I don't want to be super negative on this product because I think our thoughts are known pretty well at this point.
Yeah.
But it's a manufactured patch. So it's like, what are you getting? You're getting Wayne Gretzky's autograph and a piece of fabric where the auto's soaking in. Now, I don't know. That would be cool to have Gretzky spelled out. And maybe, so those are out of 10. Ooh. I don't understand the economics of game used jerseys. Maybe to get 10 game used Gretzky jerseys would cost like $11 billion at this point. But could you not, though, have like had Gretzky at least worn 10 jerseys real quick? And I mean, or does that even not matter?
That still gets back to the whole SP. It's called SP Game Used. Our box had 4 pieces of whatever memorabilia, whatever you want to call it. None of them were game used. I just boggles my mind how this. I don't know what you do. It is what it is. It's not like they're trying to hide it. I guess we've known about it forever. But you look at this Gretzky. To me, it's kind of intriguing if you had Gretzky spelled out. But again, like you said, the auto, that's not a good Gretzky auto.
I couldn't sell that card fast enough.
Yeah, it's just I don't like how it looks. It doesn't look like his normal auto. But again, if you have Gretzky spelled out, I bet it looks pretty neat.
Part of me hates these situations too, because I feel like, we need to be honest, of course, and say when we like stuff and when we don't like stuff. But and totally, we always acknowledge it's just our opinion, and I don't want to crap on a product that I just don't like. Where maybe lots of other people like it. Maybe we're the weird ones. Maybe SP Game Use is fine, and people are going to gobble it up and love and you get a card like this, and who cares, I guess, if it's a manufactured patch. Can totally acknowledge that. I just don't. Maybe I'm too like literal in my thought
Yeah.
process where I see SB game use, and that sets an expectation with me. But um, lots of people breaking it today, and I
Yep.
think there's been a lot of hits. And I did see too. One card I thought was really cool was a Supreme stick. So in that kind of remember that big oval patch window that we looked at last episode, there's a Gordie
Yeah.
Howe out of 10 with a stick in it.
Oh, cool.
I'm assuming it was a game used. Better not be a manufactured stick, but I'm pretty sure it's game used. So that was cool.
Yeah.
But 6 cards, $150. So what is that per? It's like $25 a card, right?
Yeah.
Or more than
Yep.
that.
No, it's
So
25.
25. Okay. Yeah, it's a high risk, high reward, but it is out today. We did open a box. We put our pack opening video up on Instagram, so you can check it out there. Other thing I want to mention in new product releases, Troy, and this is I don't know how I feel. It's I'm really happy about this, but it's really interesting. So Upper Deck emailed us and whoever else is on their email list
Yeah.
the release schedule. And which is awesome, but it's really not typically something they do.
No.
So we're going to share the release dates, and now I think that these are subject to change a little bit because the artifacts one changed from yesterday. So don't take these maybe as
Yeah.
gospel, but typically the release date isn't set until the checklist is out, and I have some news on that too. So SP Game News came out today. The Boston Bruins Centennial set came out today as well. Then on the 15th, you have Artifacts, which is that a Friday? Kinda interesting
What's today? The 6th.
Today's the
so,
6th.
uh,
Yeah, it would be Friday.
yeah. Yep, it's Friday.
It's kind of a unique day. Now, that was originally the 13th and it was pushed to the 15th. Then the checklist is out for Artifacts. We'll review it next show. Troy, Monday's going to be a big checklist show because guess what else came out today? Checklist for the Cup.
Oh, I didn't
And
know
that's
that.
December 20th. So I don't think I forwarded that to you yet. So we'll review the checklist for the Cup on Monday show as well, or maybe we'll wait a little bit on that too, not to be too checklisty. And then the other kind of new news from Upper Deck today is that it looks like the first new release of 2024 will be Ice, which will be the 2022-23 version, which is slated to come out on January 10th.
Okay.
So it'll be pretty busy through the holidays with Artifacts, the Cup, and Ice. Those are pretty big releases.
Yeah, that's a lot of releases but hey, you gotta get them out. Did when you were at the local card shop, did you ask? Did they have the Boston Bruins set?
I didn't even ask. I had SP
I was
Games on the
curious.
brain.
I was curious if they had that because I mean, I just can't see it selling here, but I think I kind of want one. I think they look pretty cool.
You could probably go into Dave and Adams or Steel
Oh
City
yeah,
or
I'm sure I
something.
can order it online, but try to support the local businesses when I can.
So it's a little weird of Upper Deck telegraphing to this degree.
Yeah.
Love it. Hope keep doing it, please.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
amazing. So we have a pretty decent picture of what's coming ahead.
Yep.
All right, Troy, it's Thursday. Time for our PWCC preview. PWCC, of course, is a Gongshow partner sponsor. We're very grateful for them for their support. Quick reminder, the December PWCC Premier Auction starts today. I can't wait to see what hockey cards are in this month's auction. So we'll all have to log on to pwccmarketplace.com to check it out this evening. And a reminder, too, that the auction will run for 2 weeks going through December 21st. So if you missed last Sunday's Hockey Watch Party show that we do with Jeremy Lee and his...
Where you went for 4 hours, I think. You guys were on forever.
It was awesome, though. On his Sports Cards Live YouTube channel, it's worth going back and checking out. The auction itself was insane. There's like 30 to 40 2005 the Cup Grail cards, including an incredible Gordie Howe game used Auto 101. And I bring it back up partly to illustrate, which I think is one of kind of the unique things about PWCC, or one of the things that makes their platform pretty special, is that they really consistently get great, very unique cards. And it makes, like, we do the segment every week and we always have awesome choices to choose from. Like the auction last week, the kids would say it was like a movie, right? That's how they say that because, going back to us in hockey, we're very collector focused, which means that we get these little grail cards and in our midst, and we put a death grip on them for 60 years, and they never
Yeah.
see the light of day again. Well, when you come to an auction, there's like 40 of these. It was like, since like didn't know what to do with myself. I just kind of just sat there watching half the time what was going on. Um, and so I just encourage people to. This is a platform that you want to check out. You want to go in on a weekly basis because they'll often have cards that you just might not ever see again.
Mhm.
And yeah, so enough about last week, but it was a lot of fun and had a great time doing it with Jeremy. Well, this week tries another banger weekly auction, and like I said, it's Thursday, so we've picked out our favorite vintage and modern cards to highlight, learn more about, and per usual, we're gonna start with our vintage picks. So, first card is the 1961 Topps Johnny Busick, number 8 PSA 9, PSA 9, which is mint. It's a pop 7 at PSA 9 with none graded higher. 88 copies have been graded by PSA. Mid-career card for Busick, whose rookie card is a 1957 Topps, which is number 10. He started his playing career playing 2 years for the Detroit Red Wings. And then prior to the 1958 season, the Red Wings traded him for Terry Sawchuk. Pretty crazy, huh? That's a big trade.
Yeah, that's a big trade.
Is it Busick or Busick?
Busick. It's Busick.
Oh, thank God.
I used to say Bisek, and we got corrected. Thankfully, yeah, it's Busick.
I just had a panic attack. You know,
Nope,
that's the name.
I watched it on YouTube. I watched this presentation on him, and it was Busick.
All right. Well, Busick would go on to play the next 21 seasons in Boston. He's for sure in that Centennial set. I can guarantee you that.
Yes.
In total, he played 1,540 career games, scored 556 goals, added 813 assists for 1,369 points. Today, Troy, those 1,369 points is still good for third all time by a left wing behind Alex Ovechkin and Luke Robitaille. Busick would win 2 Stanley Cup championships, one in 1970 and one in 1972. When the Bruins won that first cup in 1970, they had snapped a 29-year championship drought, and he was given the honor to be the first Bruin to hoist the cup. So big honor there for him. His number 9 jersey was retired by the Bruins. He was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 1981, and Busick was ranked 45 in the 1998 Hockey News Greatest 100 Players. He was also named to the 100 Greatest NHL Players in 2017. Card itself, I think, is kind of interesting. Cool. Background is a little bit of a pink hue. Which feels very like early 60s to me. Like, I love when cards match the era.
Yeah.
Very nice, sharp photo of Busick in the foreground. He's kind of in that, what is that, like a face-off stance? Is that how you would characterize that?
I just always call it like a hockey stance.
Hockey stance.
pose.
One of the cooler things on the card, and you don't see this super often, is that like the puck, right? So his name, position, and team is like on a puck that's kind of standing up on its end a little bit. Yeah, I don't know. I just think it's kind of cool. Centering looks really good, right to left, maybe a little bit off, top to bottom, a little more border on the top than on the bottom. Best part of the card, though, in my opinion, is the print quality. I just think it's just really sharp and vibrant. Busick looks completely in focus, which is good. Last sale, and also the all-time highest sale of a 1961 Topps Johnny Busick PSA 9 was $808 in the PWCC Weekly of March of 2019. The only other sale of a PSA 9 was in 2009. So again, going back to, you don't see some of these cards very often. It's 2 sales in the last 15 years, something like that. Crazy. Current bid, Troy?
$125.
All right. You got the next vintage card to spotlight.
Yes, I do. And I'm going to put it up here. And I kind of went, I got a little sentimental on this, Josh. It's like, this is why I love this segment. This is.
You going to cry?
Yeah, no, I'm not going to cry.
It would help the ratings if you cried, Troy. Please.
Deep cry.
Please cry.
Get some eye drops. No crying. But this.
Can we call Frank the Tank? Oh, I'm going to listen. I'm just going to listen.
Not Frank the Tank. I just watched that the other night. But anyways, Frank Patrick. So the card itself, 1910 C56 hockey Frank Patrick rookie PSA 1. Now, again, we're all pretty familiar with the last name of Patrick, but it's usually from Lester Patrick, which we we say all the time on this show, because I think one of the that's a Lester E. Pearson, but Lester Patrick, and this is Frank Patrick. So they're brothers. And I absolutely loved reading about Frank Patrick, who this card is of, and his contributions to the game. And
were they better than the Hughes brothers?
Yes, way better.
Okay. Wow.
Contributions. Now we got to remember the contributions to the game. So we have looked at other 1910 C56 cards in the past, and I'm not going to give an overview of the C56 set. There's lots of information on it. We've went over it a lot of times, but I will start with the look at this card. Then the meat of this overview is going to be on Frank Patrick because it's fascinating, and you'll kind of understand why this card's pretty cool. So the card itself, PSA 1. Okay, let's not hold it. Let's not hide anything. If you zoom in on this card, you definitely see condition issues. There's blue ink splattered all over the place up top. There's stains. Bottom here is a big blotch stain, and it you can still read Frank Patrick, but there's some darkening here. So there's definitely
pets' heads are falling off.
What's that?
His pets' heads are falling off.
Oh yeah, pet heads falling off, but there's definitely issues. Okay, it's a PSA 1. However, with all that said, this picture on the front is actually pretty good of the player himself. There's some creasing or some tear on the bottom left. Then you can see, but the picture overall in general is actually pretty good, and it looks okay. Card's definitely off center, left to right, top to bottom. Back has some issues as well. Not as many issues, but you can definitely see some discoloration. This big black mark here. But again, it's a PSA 1, so this is you know what you're getting when you see the grade on this card. But it's definitely seen better days. But I think where this card gets fascinating is just who's on it. This Frank Patrick, and when you look and read bios of Frank Patrick, they also mention his brother Lester. They're kind of a combo deal, and how instrumental they were in building the game as we know it. And I'm absolutely fascinated by his impact on the game. And I looked at the PSA card facts, actually had a really good bio on him. So I'm going to kind of read parts of that or most of it because this guy is pretty special. So Frank Alexis Patrick was instrumental in the evolution of the game as he introduced the blue line, penalty shot, and boarding penalty. And along with his brother Lester, formed the Pacific Coast Hockey Association that produced numerous Stanley Cup champions in the early 1900s. Frank played defense with the 1909-10 Renfrew Hockey Club, which is what this jersey is, to begin his professional career alongside his brother Lester, as the two revolutionized the game by starting the rush from the defensive zone and frequently led forwards with outlet passes. Frank and Lester then founded the PCHA in 1911 that played in Western Canada, where the game was less popular with virtually no teams. In 1911-12, Frank played defense and served as both head coach and manager of the fledgling Vancouver Millionaires in the PCHA. When Patrick lured National Hockey Association star Cyclone Taylor to the Millionaires and the PCHA in 1912, the league began to gain popularity, and Vancouver won the 1915 Stanley Cup Championship, becoming the first PCHA team to take the title. Frank served as a player, coach, and manager, as well as PCHA president until 1924, when the league dissolved and the team's players dispersed into the Western Canada and National Hockey Leagues. Frank Patrick finished his playing career 74 goals, 36 assists for 99 career professional games. Frank Patrick innovated the game of hockey and is credited for making 22 changes to the hockey rulebook that remain in the NHL, as well as every other level down to Pee-wees. He's often referred to as the brains of modern hockey for introducing numbers on jerseys, the ability to kick the puck anywhere but into the goal, outlet passes from defensemen to forwards, and recording assists on goals, among many others. He also dreamed the day of when teams would carry two goaltenders, eventually enacted in 1964-65. Frank Patrick was influential in beginning the first women's team and league, though the concept took many years to evolve and perfect. Frank ended his hockey career spending 2 seasons with the Bruins as head coach, where he compiled a record of 48 wins, 36 losses, 12 ties in 96 games. Frank Patrick, inducted in the Hall of Fame as a builder in 1958, passed away on June 29, 1960, only 4 weeks after his brother Lester, who died on June 1st of the same month. So there it is, Josh. Long bio, but man, this guy pretty big innovator in the game, and like they said, the father of modern hockey today.
But I know you mentioned it briefly, but I remember, I think maybe I was researching Leicester a little bit. They were incredibly important figures in women's hockey, and we both have daughters that have played
Yeah,
hockey. Your daughter played hockey. My daughter plays hockey, and you, of course, coach women's hockey.
yeah.
So a lot to thank there. When are you going to start heave crying? Because we need the rings.
Right. Actually, what I was thinking about is so the new women's league, the PWHL, they are starting scrimmages, and they're actually trying out some pretty crazy rule changes in the scrimmages. They're gonna in a couple of them. They're doing like 2-minute penalties no longer are negated with a goal. So you'd still you'd stay
Really?
on the power play just to test it out. Like I think baseball, there's a league that tries out all these crazy rules, and they're going to try out some of them. I know what was another one they had. It was I can't remember. The one that I wish they would abolish is a delayed penalty if the team scores that's the delayed penalty is not called on. They score. They wipe out the penalty. I hate that rule. I think it's ridiculous. I think you're getting
Yeah.
rewarded just because the other team scored. It's like, no, you should still have to serve your penalty, and the other team should be on a power play. But
That's like Lou Nanny's take on icing when you're on the
oh
penalty kill.
yeah, that was the
Where
other rule that they're doing. The PWHL's doing like the youth hockey. Icings on penalty kills are a whistle and a face off down the other end.
what should be, and his point, what it makes a lot of sense is why it's an advantage you only get in hockey after you commit a penalty.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, I agree. I love trying out new rules, see how they work. It's awesome. It's like when baseball they did the stealing first rule where it's like any pass ball, you could decide I'm going to steal first and just go and try to run there, and they could throw you out. It's pretty, yeah, it's crazy. I love this. All right, back to the card. Okay, the PSA 1 grade has a pop of 27 with an additional 4 cards at that level having the qualifier on it. Total pop of the card is 128 with 9 additional cards having a qualifier. The highest grade of this card is a PSA 7. Last sale of the PSA 1 card I could find was actually this exact card on October 20th, 2022 for $350 via the PWCC Weekly Auction. That sale also looks like it was the all-time high for a PSA 1 copy in which I could find. That's another thing. PSA 1 1910 card, hey, you could probably, it's going to be in the affordable range for some people. Still, it's a lot of money for a card, but you're not shelling out thousands upon thousands if this is a PSA, whatever, even a 5 probably goes for tons of money. Current bid $280. So it might, I wonder if it probably might break that record.
Our last vintage card we're going to talk about today is sort of me cheating on the fine line of vintage here, but it's a 1995 Bowman's Best Refractor, Mario Lemieux, PSA 10, Gem Mint. I almost think we need to come up with a different term for 80s and 90s cards because I don't feel like having 2 categories works, right? These cards are not vintage as we like to think of it, but they're not exactly modern either. So what are they? Answer the
vintage
question.
Modern.
Yeah, I don't know, but I feel like there needs to be like that for the 80s and 90s. There needs to be like a category for those. Okay, anyways, love Bowman's Best Hockey. Huge fan of the brand. Love the refractors as well. I have a few of them. I don't think I have this card though. Troy. Christmas is coming. There's a base card and refractor for Lemieux in the 1995 Bowman's Best set. A PSA 10 refractor is a pop of 4, so this is a pop 4 card. 30 total graded by PSA. There were only 30 players on the checklist for 1995-96 Bowman's. Each of the 30 players did have a refractor parallel. Not a super high-end card by any means, but I think they look great in hand. They get really shiny if you get the right light on them. The picture, hard to take, I'm sure, for PWCC. I don't think represents how kind of colorful the card is in hand. The card itself is a full body photo of Mario, kind of on a wavy background that it kind of has that nice effect, like you said, when you get good light on it. Of the cards in the set, the Lemieux is probably the second most sought after behind Gretzky, of course, although Wayne was in his full turtleneck glory in a St. Louis Blues uniform in the card. So yeah, not a big fan of those Waynes, but those go for the most money. Now Troy. So again, this is a 1995 Bowman's Best. The 1995-96 season was pretty special for Mario Lemieux. He had just returned as a player to the Penguins after missing the entire 1994-95 season while battling Hodgkin's lymphoma. Now, you might think, well, geez, he just missed a year plus of hockey. Was he rusty? Nope.
Mhm.
He only scored 69 goals, added 92 assists for 161 points in 70 games played, which is 2.3 points per game. He would also win the Hart Trophy and Art Ross, as well as the Ted Lindsay Award in the 1995 season. So when I am able to connect moments like that to the year of the card, to me, I don't know about how you feel. It kind of enhances the card a little bit. It's like, oh
Mhm.
wow, this
For
sort of
sure.
represents this guy who had cancer and came back after
Yeah.
missing a season and scored 161 points, which is all sorts of bonkers, right? Uh, do you like this card? Are you a fan of Bowman's Best?
Oh yeah. No, I love this card. I think it looks great.
There's only been one sale of a 1995-96 Bowman's Best Mario Lemieux Refractor PSA 10, again Pop 4, sold for 250 US in July of 2022. Last sale for any copy was a raw card that sold for $25 on October 15th. So again, if you don't need a graded copy, this is a really cool card that you can get pretty cheap raw. You got a current bid?
110 US dollars.
Okay, we're going to switch to modern now. So my first pick for modern Troy is this 2020 Upper Deck The Cup Foundations Connor McDavid tag patch 1/1. So you got a 1/1 McDavid from the Cup. Get my attention any day. The card doesn't have an auto, but there is an auto version. But it's a memorabilia card with 4 windows. Now, 2 of the windows have 3 color patches, and the other 2 have laundry tags. All the memorabilia in the card is game used, so I think you'd expect that with the Cup.
Mhm.
Definitely the case. Now, the 2 tags, one of them is literally the instructions for doing laundry. It's like starts to tumble dry, right? And so apparently, if you wash the card, tumble dry it. That's at least what the tag says. Also, it appears the jersey was made in Canada by the other tag, and
Oh
McDavid
yeah.
is a size 56. So I'm sure many people are wondering about that. The reason why I picked this card is I just wanted to ask you, what do you think about? We're seeing a lot of these very very high end cards that in the memorabilia windows they use. Are you a fan of laundry tags? Would you prefer just 4 patches?
I am not a fan of laundry tags. I will never understand what the draw is to have a laundry tag on a card. I would rather have 4 patches or jersey swatches I don't care. I just will never understand the laundry tag. And maybe I'm missing something, but I don't understand why you'd want a laundry tag.
I was thinking about that, and the only thing that came to my mind was, well, the laundry tag, like a patch, can be pretty big. Like you look at the Oilers patch on the front of
Yeah.
his jersey, you could make a lot of cards out of that. The laundry tag is so small that it really can only fit into one card, and so maybe that's the rationale behind putting it in a 1/1.
Yeah.
But I kind of agree with you. Okay, so I want you to rank from best to worst these 3 commonly seen non-patch pieces of memorabilia: laundry tags, buttons, and fight straps.
Ooh. That's I'd probably go. Well, fight straps are just cool, and if it's for a fighter card, that's even better. So I'll go fight strap, button, laundry tag. So one
I'm
I've
really
got.
conflicted on that because fight straps are cool, the thought of them, but in reality, it looks like a jock strap. I mean,
Well,
kind of. It's just like a one color
yeah,
sort of thing. And so I think I would probably, but I'd go fight strap, laundry tag. I'm not a button guy. I don't get the whole button thing.
yeah. I mean, yeah, I kind of agree, but I'll take a button over the laundry tag, I guess.
Now, the tricky part about a card like this, it's a very nicely designed card too. It's got a full picture of
Yeah,
McDavid. They always do a great job with the cup and laying them out very nicely. But trying to figure out what something like this would be worth. Um, yeah, it's tough one to. These are always so tough for me because it's not close to a rookie. It doesn't have an auto, which is going to knock it down. So I did a whole bunch of searches. I did find, Troy, a 2020 Foundations non-auto, same non-auto, but out of 5 that has 4 patches, by the way. So the out of 5, what I think for both of us would actually be, is better than the 101. I like this card better than the 101, don't you?
Yes, I'd take this any day over the 101.
Yeah, I think that's kind of interesting. So this one sold for $592 US in April. So I don't know. I'd probably maybe put the 101 at $1,000 or $1,200, something like that. You're going to get a 101 premium, just because that's what happens. Yeah, you got a current bid?
$625 US.
Okay, yeah, pretty strong so far. Oh my gosh, were we on the same wavelength here? I didn't even know you picked another similar card.
Oh yeah, I took. Well, it's since our hobby news item was on the Hughes brothers, right? Might as well throw in a card of one of the Hughes brothers in the PWCC Weekly section.
There you go.
I went with the 2019 Upper Deck the Cup Foundations Quad. Jack Hughes rookie patch out of 99. PSA 9. Hey, it's Brother Jack. Rookie year. Let's go. So currently Brother Jack still ripping it up in the NHL. On the season, it's got 10 goals, 23 assists for 33 points in 18 games played. Brother Jack has scored a goal, Josh, in his last 4 games. I didn't even know he was on like a 4-game goal streak until I looked that up. I was like,
pretty much since coming back from injury, right?
Yeah, and in those 4 games he's had 10 points. Or no, he's had 10. Hold on, I can't even talk right. 10 points, yes. I think he's had 10 points in those 4 games. So the 2019 number 1 overall pick has had a great start to his career. 97 goals, 143 assists for 240 points in 262 games played. So Brother Jack, definitely a good dude, a good player. So looking at this card, obviously it's a PSA 9. I actually really like the look of this, even though I'm not really a big patch card guy or even jersey swatch guy or fabric, memorabilia, whatever you want to call it.
By alternating the colors like that, it made it very like if it was a one piece of red jersey, I don't like that. But given it's really 3 color, white, red, and black. I got another question for you before you continue. Do you think if any of the Hughes brothers do like a private signing, that they would sign the card like Brother Luke,
that'd be awesome.
or Brother Jack? Would that be amazing?
I want that photo of them from the game, and if we could get Brother Jack, Brother Luke, Brother Quinn, and then get stepbrother Jack Quinn to sign that photo, that'd be fantastic.
Okay. What we do to entertain ourselves on this show.
Yeah. But again, I love this card. I think it looks really, really nice. And again, like I said, I'm kind of an auto snob when it comes to these. I like having autos on them, but I really like how this card looks. I think that the picture is really big, really nice for what the card is. Obviously these windows take up a big chunk, but I really like the design. PSA 9, it looks great. Again, remember, this is player worn by the featured player, so it's not game worn. It doesn't say it was worn in a game. So just remember that. And
very common in Cup rookies.
Yeah, very common. Yep. And so PSA 9 population of this card is 2, with none graded higher. In fact, there's only one other graded PSA copy, and that's a PSA 8. So this, now here's, and you have to help me out maybe. This exact card sold on November 5th of this year via the PWCC for $252 US. But I'm guessing it wasn't paid for because I couldn't find it in the PWCC sales history. Is that enough time? Was a month?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it wasn't paid for.
Yeah, but I did find that this exact card did sell again in the PWCC in April, or sold before that one in April of this year for $112.80 US. So I think that's what happened. Not 100% sure, but I'm guessing it wasn't paid for, or else there wasn't enough time yet for it to hit the sales report, even though we'll have to check with PWCC, but current bid right now is $105 US.
Pretty strong early bids right now.
Yeah. This is a really good looking card.
I like that card. Very nice design. Good job, Upper Deck. Our last card we're going to feature is a card I'd never seen before. I must be living under a rock. It's a 2020 Metal Universe Championship Hardware Gold Spectrum Alex Ovechkin out of 25 PSA 10. Have you seen these?
No, I hadn't. When you saw your comments, like, whoa, I gotta look at this thing.
Oh, it'll get weirder too in a second. So they're acetate cards, a little bit darker acetate. But if you check the back of the card, you can see like the clear, like telltale acetate signs, right? Where you, can basically see through it a little bit. So this is the gold spectrum parallel, which is out of 25, PSA 10 as a pop of 1. So championship hardware in 2020 Metal Universe is an insert set with 20 players on the checklist, featuring each guy hoisting the Stanley Cup and reveling in their championship glory. So you'll find notable players on the checklist like Ovechkin, of course, Sidney Crosby, Evgeny Malkin, Patrick Kane, Connor Troy, you can even get O'Reilly in the
Boy, it'd be sweet if I had that button bar right now.
You missed my Connor McDavid joke too.
Your audio cut out, so I didn't hear it.
Worked so hard on the joke. Just kidding. This is where, like, okay, now I'm going to get back to like why I was all mentally tied up in knots on this card. So according to Cardboard Connection, when you look at the set configuration for 2020, which we bought boxes of Metal Universe, it said that in each box, you either got one of the Alon acetate cards or championship hardware. So we would have like a 50-50 chance of getting one of these, and I'd never seen it before.
Yeah.
Maybe I have hockey card dementia. I don't know. The pack odds to pull even a base championship hardware card were 1 in 38 packs, so 20 players on the checklist. To even get an OV base would be 1 in 760 packs or 1 in 51 boxes. So let alone, of course, the much rarer gold spectrum out of 25 like this card is. Championship hardware is not a new insert in 2020 Metal. And like with a lot of Metal cards, it has its roots back to mid-90s basketball. So biggest sale ever for Metal Universe Championship hardware was this 1997 Michael Jordan PSA 10 that sold for $34,500 US this past August in the PWCC premiere. And then prior to the 2020 Metal Universe release, the highest selling championship hardware hockey card was a 2012-13 retro Wayne Gretzky that sold for $310 US in August 2022. Okay, now going back to Ovechkin and the 2020 championship hardware inserts, I really like the idea of them hoisting the cup. Like that's to me, this is a way better card than even the Gretzky is. I know the Gretzky and it's from the vaunted and famed 2012-13 retro set, but I don't know. It just fits. Even looking at like the Jordan, it wasn't like championship hardware. The Stanley Cup is championship hardware, right? It's hardware, so it just makes sense to me. Really, really like these cards. High sale, Troy, for 2020 Metal Universe OV Championship Hardware Gold Spectrum Parallel out of 25 was a raw copy that sold for $500 US in December of 2021, which was also the highest hockey card sale for any championship hardware insert, even more than the 2012 Wayne Gretzky. Most recent sale was this past January, where a PSA 9 sold for $130 US. So it went from like 500 raw to 130 for a PSA 9. In case you're wondering, like a base copy sells for like $12 to $15 raw and $85 US for a PSA 10 base. You got a current bid?
$100 US dollars. I apologize on video if people saw me looking out the window and taking my headphones off. I think either the cops or the fire trucks are about a block or two over because they are very loud. I don't know what's going on outside.
Your house on fire?
I don't hope not. Hope not.
All right, Troy. Personal pickups time. Anything to report today?
Nothing, but I did get the 2 boxes of Stature that I ordered that I talked about last week or last show, maybe. I haven't opened them yet. But
you haven't opened them? Okay.
Nope.
I have one pickup, so we're back in the game, Troy.
Nice.
Very tiny, but it's a card I like anyways. It's a collector's market, Troy.
It is.
It's not about the value. It's not about the value.
That. You know it.
This is a 2022-23 Allure Gold Glitter Bomb Alexander Ovechkin on a 199 raw. I think I paid some like $5 for it.
Nice.
I'm just a gold glitter bomb kind of guy, Troy.
Start it. How many are there? Yep. Is this a parallel?
It's a parallel, yeah.
Okay.
So however many base.
Yep.
But, yeah. All right. Well, that's our show for this Thursday, right? Yeah, Thursday. If you like the episode, please leave a rating and review on Apple, Spotify, whatever podcast app you listen to us on. And if you love the show, you want to support us, chat with us every day on the Hockey Cards Gongshow Discord server, please consider a $5 a month donation. Join our at a $1.99 support level tier on Patreon. Link is in the show description. If you're listening to us on a podcast app or in YouTube, you go to our website, hockeycardsgongshow.com, and click on the Become a Patron link. If you want, just go to Patreon's website, patreon.com, and search for Hockey Cards Gong Show. Or there's a link in our link tree in our Instagram and TikTok profile. We are on social media. Follow the Hockey Cards Gong Show on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, and YouTube. And Troy, the Hockey Cards Gong Show podcast is a production of Dollar Box Adventures LLC. Have an amazing rest of the week, an awesome, relaxing weekend, and we'll see you all on Monday.